Hello everyone, this is ZRPG Revamped, and as most of you may know, this morning, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, or 6 p.m. whatever, which translated to around 9 a.m. my time, we had a special little Nintendo Direct today, January 23rd, and it was actually, well, they call it the Wii U Direct, obviously, because it's all Wii U news. They were saying, yeah, it's going to be all on new Wii U games. People were pumped for it, but they didn't. I don't think many people really expected what was going to happen. They really took us all by surprise. So then I'm going to do a little recap for you guys. I got something to help me out, and I'm going to just touch on stuff and what I think of them. So yeah, just in case you didn't catch it, they started off with Miiverse, just talking about posts. This is basically for anyone who doesn't have a Wii U at this moment and isn't very knowledgeable in the Miiverse thing. It goes more in depth on that and some of the kinds of posts you see on there, which is really nothing special. But then he announced there will be 2 different system updates, one in the spring, one in the summer. They will both enhance things like speeds to open up software, because that was a problem that people mentioned, which is very true. It was probably one of the biggest problems, and it'll help the system perform faster, obviously, and also helps you return to the home menu faster. And then, of course, they went into the virtual console. People were expecting, I know so many people a day or two before, and so far in the past, we're like anticipating GameCube games on Virtual Console, which is the one disappointment here. It's possible in the future they'll incorporate them, and it would be smart to do that, very smart. But at this moment, they just mentioned NES and Super Nintendo, and then you'll be able to eventually, they're going to start off with those 2, and then they're going to add in more, and you'll be able to, if you have one of the games on your Wii already and you transferred it to the Wii U through the whole transfer process like I did, they will offer you the reduced price for $1 for NES games and $1.50 for Super Nintendo games for the enhanced version, which is basically, it's like you're buying it for the ability to play it on your gamepad, which is something he talked about. So you'll be able to play the Virtual Console games on the gamepad. And you'll also be able to connect to Miiverse and a community there for it as well. So they also announced a little kind of trial thing in honor of the 30th anniversary of the NES. There will be a game that's 30 cents, an NES game. There's going to be 30 cents for a month. Each month, and they have one for each month from January up until July, I think. January's is Balloon Trip. I'm not sure exactly what this is. If it's like a free trial, you get to have that game for 30 days, or it's 30 cents for 30 days. Not sure exactly. They called it something with a trial, so I don't know if that was just to get a taste of it, which wouldn't make sense with an NES game, which is why I think maybe you get it. But please help me out with that. I wasn't entirely clear on that. Sorry about that. I'm excited about this. They also mentioned in the future Game Boy Advance support would be on there, which is cool. I really like to play Fire Emblem on there, even though I can play that on my Game Boy player, so I won't do that. But there are tons of great games I've been looking to get into, and some are harder to grab, surprisingly, so I'll be looking to get into that. Yeah, they'll be selling them off, alright? I just verified that by looking down. They obviously showed, they went into trailers, The Wonderful 101, Bayonetta 2, or 2 games from Platinum Games they went into. Bayonetta 2's was just basically the construction of the game. They were showing them the designing it and putting it together, and they were talking to some of the developers about it. They were commenting on it. Wonderful 101 was like a new trailer, actually. You got to see a little bit more gameplay, not much, but it still looks interesting. Not much has changed about my opinion. It hasn't made me want to get more than before, but since it's right in the middle of a long drought of games, As I mentioned, there won't be any first-party titles January or February, so that'll be a perfect game to get into. Even if it did look lackluster, but it looks good, so that's a plus. Then they released a whole swill of new games they're doing. New 3D Mario game, which is surprisingly just kind of mentioned it. They threw it in there that the makers of Mario Galaxy, Mario Galaxy 2. No, I didn't want that to happen again. Pastor, there you go, you got your wish. I've been hearing advertisement coming from my computer as well, but it was weird they just kind of mentioned it. It's from the makers of the Galaxy series and 3D Land. I'm really looking forward to this. I hope it's not as just like thrown to the side as 3D Land kind of seemed. I hope it's fully fledged like the Galaxy games. People received 3D Land well, but it wasn't as fleshed out as some of the games. It was just kind of a 2D Mario now, in the grand scope of things, so it's not as in depth. New Mario Kart, and they said obviously every system had a new reincarnation, and I'll look forward to this. Definitely, I'll buy it. It seems like the perfect system to play it on too. Great game for using the controller as well. So, because it'll basically be Mario Kart DS, Mario Kart Super Circuit, or 7. New party game from the makers of Wii Party. It's basically the same thing, so it's pretty much a direct sequel to it. I don't think they released a name for that though. And then the team from Kirby's Epic Yarn is going to be making a Yoshi game with Yarn. You know, pretty much exact copy and paste of Kirby's Epic Yarn. People make good connections to Little Big Planet, which I can see as well, especially from the different angles they showed it in. Even the lighting and the way the Yoshi moves looks pretty interesting. Doesn't look as cool as Kirby's did. And Matt Petrus on Twitter made a comment that made sense now. Kirby's Epic Yarn had a lot more going on in its release trailer. Yoshi's didn't. It was just kind of Yoshi walking around, trying to show the yarn stuff. They showed that he hatched from an egg, exploded and whatnot, did things, using Yoshi, how it could eat enemies and whatnot. Pretty much a copy and paste. I'm looking forward to seeing if this is going to be like as well received as Epic Yarn. What the take will be, if it will just be a mediocre game. It's actually pretty similar to the style of Fruit Cart is what it reminded me of. Yoshi's Fruit Cart in Nintendo Land. Even though it's Yarn now, but it's a very cutesy, that's immediately what it reminded me of, because that's like the most recent thing we've seen of it. They commented that Yoshi's Story on the N64, 15 years ago, 1998, was the last time we've seen Yoshi as the main character of like a home console game. Then they mentioned Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem crossover game, which is that sounds pretty promising, and it's amazing that it's on the Wii U. Like, that's really awesome. Because it didn't seem they wanted to focus on console Fire Emblem games, and since they've been moving off Shadow Dragon and Fire Emblem Awakening, and the majority of Fire Emblem games are on there and seem like they're going to be on handhelds. But I personally favored the console versions, and I'm looking forward to this. This gives me another incentive to get into the Shin Megami Tensei series. I just haven't gotten my hands on one of the games yet, and hear all the good things, but I haven't dabbled in it yet. This is a good incentive. Next, they were talking about how they were making a new Zelda title for the Wii U. They were talking about what they plan on doing with it in terms of concept, and they're hinting at that there's not going to be a specific order in the way you have to do dungeons anymore. They want to make it more open. I imagine they're trying to make it, they didn't mention this, but trying to make it more open world now, because they see success of games like Skyrim and Fallout, which allow you to go out on your own paths and make let it flow more naturally. instead of linear mindset. They said they were trying to do that with Skyward Sword, but it just didn't work out. So they're going to try to do that with this. Yeah, so that looks really cool. They also said they want to mention, or they sounds really cool, because we haven't seen anything from it yet, but they also mentioned they want to make it so they want to try to reinvent it in the way that you don't have to play alone anymore, is what it sounds like. So some sort of co-op. Hopefully online. I mean, come on. I kind of doubt it will be online, but they really should by now. And, but before that, they kind of moved into this very nicely, and it was a Wind Waker HD remake. My friend Colinoy Navi, I knew he would be happy about this, among many others who love the Wind Waker, and I love his graphical style. I've hated myself for only dabbling in it a very tiny bit, but now I'm going to hold off until this comes out, and this is when I'll try to actually fully flesh out my experience with it. It should be great. I know he's pumped for that, and I know he's probably pumped for the crossover game as well, since he loves Fire Emblem. But yeah, that's awesome. And lastly, they showed a game from Monolith Soft, whom are the makers of Xenoblade, and they showed off a trailer for a game called X, which looks absolutely gorgeous. Like, if you look at the graphics, it's very reminiscent of Xenoblade from what I've seen, and it's got the sort of Final Fantasy like charm or polish to the graphics that, just from the little bit I've seen. Obviously, the combat looks similar to Xenoblade, even though, as I said, I don't have a first-hand experience with that. Just looks similar in scope, but a very, very beautiful game. I can't stress that enough. It looks fantastic. I still need to get Xenoblade before I do, though. I don't think I'll jump into this before Xenoblade. Depends on how early, but also I forgot to mention that Miiverse will be going into like an app or mobile version. Firstly, it will be browser-based, but then it'll be an app later. So that's it for my little summary and thoughts, guys. That was basically the whole show, but that was really amazing. It far impressed me, I think. Watching the actual video, very uneventful for the majority of the video. Then bam, a bunch of new releases. Like, yeah, okay, a lot. A lot. So it's a fantastic time to be a Nintendo fan, guys. So keep on playing Nintendo games now. If you had any reason to doubt the Wii U, your doubts are gone.